I swear, if you're coming from the Caribbean, you can't afford to miss watching this video. So I've watched it myself for more than 5 times, and it's very, very emphatic. It's very, very sad to see how Mia Motley brings the whole situation in the Caribbean.
All the time, who sees us and who hears us? We continue to be confronted by problems of blacklisting, which pale into insignificance when compared to climate change, but which destroy our financial sector. The illicit flow of weapons, such that the ease with which people can go into public spaces and shoot and kill others is now regarded as just another item on the news because we promote profit in the manufacture and trade of guns and weapons, of non-communicable diseases that strike down our people in the most insidious of ways because we allow diets that promote the prosperity of a few multinational corporations to become the norm of the day with the food that we eat and the lives that we live. And in the case within our own community, Belize and Guyana continue to face challenges to their territorial integrity. I suppose people feel that because we have talked so long about Belize and Guyana and Cuba, that we can continue to talk about climate change and these other things, and that it is okay for it to be another tick on a UN General Assembly speech. These are all threats to our stability, to the people's stability in our lands. But you know, since last we met, there are other instances and circumstances, not of our making, that may yet destabilize us. And we say it over and over, but we ask who is listening. And you know, we don't come with tales of woe only. The Caribbean has produced excellence. It really has. Nobel laureates, sportsmen who have excelled and are the best in the world of their type, artists, the best in the world of their type, leaders who have inspired previous generations and current generations. We don't come here as a proud people asking for handouts. We don't want and will not be mendicant. What we want, no, what we need is fiscal and policy space. Fiscal and policy space to achieve sustainable development, to be nimble, to adapt, and to innovate in ways that allow us to be true and faithful to the task of bringing prosperity to our people, or as in the theme of this General Assembly, to eradicate poverty, to educate our people, to include all such that there's not some outside and some inside. We want an international order equally that recognizes that there must be different policy prescriptions to suit the circumstances that we all have. And we can still be friends, small and large, north and south, Christian, Hindu, Muslim, all different races, all genders. An equitable and just international order that is truly built on the principles of justice and fairness for all and not just for some. A United Nations that recognizes that as 74 years old we must be able to have difficult conversations as mature people and solve them. Many in the developing world were persuaded or required to abandon policies that were designed for the majority of our population to be transformed. And those policies were fashioned to adopt a consensus that was settled in Washington, D.C. and named thereafter. And that ultimately, regrettably, was about the consolidation of wealth in the hands of a very few. And that's why we have seen the growing inequality that we have seen in the world over the last few decades. That is why too many people over the world have become cynical about governments and about the benefits that they can bring to them. The fueling of the greed of a few threatens to undermine what little gains we have made since independence. And we judge ourselves harshly because independence is a recent phenomenon for us. Others who have taken 150 years to get where they have gotten are still stumbling and falling. And you want to judge those who have had less than 50 or 60 years to operate in a world that has not been made in their image and that does not reflect their interests. This is the fate, my friends, of simply too many. And Mr. President, despite our small size, the 14 countries of the Caribbean community have been able to play leadership roles of international import. I can't stand here today without talking about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that has become the smallest nation of the world ever to be elected to the Security Council to sit on it. We are proud of them. In addition, and I want to speak to this, because when CARICOM was confronted with the unfolding situation in Venezuela, I accompanied the then chairman of CARICOM, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, to meet in this building with the UN Secretary General in January of this year. And we met with many delegations, and some said we were wasting our time, and some said the time for talk was already over. And we said then, as we say almost 9 months later, the time for dialogue, the time for talk, my friends, can never be over in a world that wants peace and prosperity. We don't take sides, but what we know is that you cannot propel war over dialogue. The people of Venezuela must be allowed to decide their own future in accordance with the principles of the United Nations Charter. Principles of non-intervention, non-interference, prohibition of the threat or use of force, respect for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy. It is regrettable that other multilateral organizations have not followed their own charters. And that is what makes the actions of our Secretary General of the UN more laudable, for refusing to breach his own charter and take actions even though member states have hurled into the recognition of those unelected. Our Caribbean Sea must remain a zone of peace, and for that we shall fight. Mr. President, I speak plainly and without fear, because from independence, Barbados' foreign policy has been premised on the simple principle of friends of all, satellites of none. Barbados, therefore, has always remained and will remain proud to have Cuba as a treasured friend.
I know we all have some clue who is Mia Motley, and if you're coming from the Caribbean, this is not the first time or the last time you're going to hear about her rants about how Jamaica, how Guyana, how about these Caribbean countries have been mismanaged by their leaders. So welcome back to another episode of these videos that I'm bringing to you, and if it's the first time you're coming across the channel, please consider subscribing. So there has been this growing concern about how the Caribbean has been managed, and just like other African countries, like other black countries, I mean, you might find that there is high rate of corruption in these countries, and the public resources, those that are natural and which should be benefiting the common citizen of that country, wherever you are coming from, wherever you are coming from, either Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, Dominican, all those countries from the Caribbean, these resources are meant to benefit you and not those people that you give power to lead you. So this is the whole message that Mia Mottley is bringing around, and she slams the Jamaican Prime Minister Andy Holness for having failed the Jamaicans. Why raise the taxes if you are not delivering the services? Why do these bad things? Why should you not manage corruption? Why should you bow down to those people who oppressed you? Those people who put Jamaicans and other Caribbeans into the hole they are today, into the slavery they never wanted. Why do you still worship them? This is the whole message that Mia Mottley is bringing around. 50 years, 60 years of independence, and there is nothing that you can put on the table and say, this is whatever we have achieved. In contrast, there have been so many setbacks. There have been other countries that achieved independence way less after Jamaica had achieved its independence. Let's talk of the Philippines. Let's talk of other countries that you may want to know. But they are way more far better doing than Jamaica, than the Caribbean countries. What went wrong? These are African leaders and these are Caribbean leaders just in one bucket, doing the same things. They can't manage the corruption in their countries. They have let our oppressors come back, exploit, extort the little that was left for us, and we still worship them. We still do as they want. This is a whole messed up situation, and I really love how Mia Mottley has been the bridge through, has been bridging the differences that the Caribbean have, the problems, the atrocities that the Caribbeans are going through. These are not different from whatever we are facing in Africa. We still share the same problems because we are being led by the same people, the same culture. What went wrong? That's the question I'm asking today. That's the question Mia Mottley is asking today. What went wrong? So let me know whatever you think of this video. Do you really think our leaders have failed us? They are the main reason the Jamaicans are still where they are today. Jamaica has a lot of potentiality. There is a lot of potential in Jamaica. We have the artists, superstars. They have never been supported apparently by the government. They have resources. Jamaica is one of the beautiful countries in the world. And if you go to the Caribbean, the islands of Caribbean, they are the best places to go for vacations. But what really happened? Why are we still seeing the same problems? The corruption rate, the high taxes that do not even benefit the common citizen. Let me know whatever you think of this video and so many other atrocities that you people are going through. Us, as black people, what went wrong? That's the big question. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can we do to be better? Share this message widely so that we might find this solution. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate. See you next time, my Jamaicans people. Please subscribe, share, follow, like.